For the new show, I'm bringing you entertainment, guests, and advice on health and beauty. We all need inspiration now. We will look at how to live your life and love your life. Hello everyone, welcome to the Halimah Show. Thank you so much for joining us once again today. So today we have a special guest with a unique story to tell. She's a public figure whose tagline is luck or life's calling. Let's welcome Tulsi. Hello Tulsi.
Hi Halimah, thank you so much for having me on your show today.
Thank you for being here. It's incredible to have you on the show. How are you today?
I'm really well, and how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. It's been good getting to know you actually while I was doing your makeup as well.
Yeah, thank you for making me look glam.
Oh, you look amazing. You look amazing.
Thank you.
So tell us, Tulsi, who you are, firstly, and then we can talk about the things that have happened in your life.
Sure, yeah. So I'm an influential speaker, a Pilates rehabilitation specialist, but the main thing that really gets me out of bed is I'm a humanitarian, you know. I want to see more justice in the world, very cliche, peace in the world, but you know, I just want love to just resonate far and wide, and I think with love, like, we can literally cure everything. That's my thing.
Yes, why not? Definitely a brilliant legacy to live by, I think. So how would you say you bring that about in your daily life? Just quickly touch on that before we go on.
Sure, I think for me, like all those years of growing up with negative words, negative narratives, they weren't counterproductive. You know, I had no confidence, low self-esteem. But as soon as I sort of found sort of self-love for myself, I realized like I can change so much. I can attract so much more positivity into my life. All the things I dream about, they're just happening, you know, and that all starts from love. It's like if we can give love to our children, all our family members, why can't we give that to ourselves?
Yeah.
We are just as deserving as anyone else. And I think that's kind of what I want to spread more. And compassion is, you know, a real deep-seated thing for me. If we show compassion and less judgment, just watch how people can grow. And I think that's how we're going to change a lot of narratives.
Have you managed to change people with this narrative? So have you come across people where you've seen that change?
Completely, like especially like a lot of my followers, or even just family members and friends. The kind of kindness I give them, and holding that space for them, they're growing in themselves, and they are now spreading it to others. And this is what we want to do, right? It's a domino effect.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Karma, a little bit of karma.
Absolutely.
Give. You'll definitely get it back.
And a little bit of glitter on top.
Of course, that's, you know, when I put glitter on people, it's nothing to do with anything. But when I do put glitter on people, I feel like it's my happiness dust.
Exactly.
I just think that people are so miserable until they get glitter on. So would you like to tell us briefly, very briefly, what experience you've had in life to then catapult you into where you are today?
Absolutely. I'm very fortunate and very blessed to have experienced this as well. So I was 10 years old when I was involved in a plane crash. I was traveling from Mumbai to Bangalore. We was on holidays in India. So it was my mum, dad, and my brother. Really excited, you know, to have this new adventure. Growing up in the UK, you know, life is about like good stuff. You know, we've been really privileged with a, you know, nice home and all the, you know, just nice things basically. So my parents wanted us to experience life in India, like where there is poverty and people that aren't well off, but kind of show some form of happiness actually.
Yeah.
So they took us there, life experience, but we were only there about a week and a half.
Okay.
And then life as I knew it changed in a split second. I was involved in a plane crash. I lost my mum, dad, and my brother. And I had no idea what happened in that moment. So one minute I'm fighting with my brother who sat by the window. I was so annoyed. He's younger than me. He got his way. Because for the first time, it's like seeing blue skies and green fields. I mean, in the UK, come on, we don't even see blue skies. It's very rare. Green fields, fair enough. So it was just a beautiful scene. And the next thing I hear my grandmother's voice, who I've left back here in the UK. but her voice is very close. It's not at the end of a phone.
Okay.
And she's saying, Tulsi, you look different. And mum, dad, and Gamlesh, which is my brother, they passed away. But I'm like, in my head, she's on the plane and has come to surprise us on this holiday. So it hasn't registered what she's actually said. Then I'm sort of flown back to the UK. From the accident happening to me being in the UK is about 3-4 days. I have no time recollection. I met with my other cousins and aunts and uncles here in the UK now, at the Burns unit in Essex. And they've literally said the sort of same spiel, we've been involved in an accident. Mum, dad, and Ganesh aren't here. You look different, but don't worry, everything's going to be okay. It still hasn't registered something's happened. I think in my confusion, I'm a bit like, where's mum and dad?
Yeah.
And where I thought my grandma's come to surprise me on the plane, I also felt my cousins, aunts, and uncles have come on the plane as well. But it's not until the reality hits where they remove the bandages from my eyes. I think it's about 4 to 6 weeks after my accident. So I've been in and out of surgery, having skin grafts, treated for smoke inhalation. So I'm really excited to meet myself in the mirror, because internally I still feel like Tulsi, who's boisterous, who's loud, who's funny, because everyone around me who used to come and visit ensured that that's who I was going to still be.
Okay.
So they encouraged me to just be that Tulsi. So yes, they've had longer to accept me looking different, but I've not seen myself. So hold the mirror in front of me, and the only thing is that person in front of me is not me. I literally thought somebody drew that face on, almost like a joke, But the person moving their mouth and their eyes is like, oh, that is actually me. Now, whether naively or optimistically, I thought in a year's time there's going to be this magic cloth and they're all going to go away. So this is not a big deal. But when I looked down at my left hand, which was red raw at the time, I had metal rods sticking out the fingers to sort of straighten them. I sort of realized something has happened, but it can't be that big and dramatic.
Okay, because you're only 10.
I'm 10, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's not a big deal. I've kind of used that as my coping mechanism, I'd say. And yeah, then in hospital, everyone just treats me as Tulsi, nothing different. And it's not until I leave hospital where things start changing.
Okay.
Where now the name calling, people crossing the road, so the whole bullying starts, Now suddenly I do feel like I am different. Up until that point, I was just able to be Tulsi. Loud, boisterous, obviously going through my pain, going through in and out of surgery. So it's at this point now I realize that looking like this is suddenly not acceptable. Because up until this point, image was never a thing for me. It's the journey to and from school. It's the journey to and from hospital. It's where I was feeling most isolated, because even though I had friends and family around me, they didn't know what to do.
Yeah, of course.
And how do you prep somebody at that age of what to do, right? Adults may be a bit different, but my peers, my age, is hard.
Did you experience a lot of pain when you woke up? Physical pain?
No, I don't think. See, pain is a really strange thing, because we can measure it in so many ways, but I don't remember being in pain in terms of a burn. Like,
okay,
if I get an iron burn now, that hurts. That hurts. And I laugh because I'm thinking, you've experienced all this, but an iron burn hurts. But because I was probably treated for everything, as in like sedation and heavy painkillers, that's probably why I didn't.
okay.
And I call it a mass pain, so it's just one big ball of a pain.
Yeah.
And obviously being in and out of surgery, I don't have time to be in pain, if that makes sense. But it's when I think the mental and emotional pain, I think, was far heavier than the physical pain.
In hospital?
In hospital and out of hospital.
So did you experience the loss of your family while you're in hospital? Did it hit
No,
you?
because I'm still asking, like, where's my mum and dad? Because, like as a child, I'm guessing everyone would ask, where's their mum and dad, or because that's your comfort. But I think in midst of asking that, and then my other family members trying to console me or just to make me feel better, they're like, don't worry, they'll come for you, sort of thing. Because I kept convincing myself they've lost their passport and they're trying to come back
They're
here.
going to turn up.
So that lasted for about 3 years,
Oh,
which was
okay.
my denial, that's my way of denying what had happened. So it's like, oh, I know what, like for example, India government can be difficult. It's going to take ages for them to get passport. How do they prove who they are? All these things were going through my head, just to help me get through those days.
Yeah.
I couldn't look at pictures of them now. So when any kind of loss, or people would say like, "I'll think of the positive things." I couldn't think of anything. I just didn't want to look at their pictures. Suddenly, every family member wants to pull pictures out and reminisce. I just couldn't do that. That was just too much, because in my head, they are coming back for me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that took about 3 years of recognizing that they're gone.
Yeah, still being in denial. And then
Yeah.
3 years are up, and it's like, okay, they still haven't come back. But I think it's sort of finally hit me that they're not coming back. This is it now.
You're about 13 then.
About
roughly.
13, 14.
Yeah.
And it's then that I really experienced bullying of a different scale,
Okay.
where it's like now I'm being compared to Freddy Krueger, walking down the street. I didn't know who that was, so I thought it as a compliment at the time. And I've come home and my uncle's like, "No, you can't accept this. This is a baddie, because." And then it just hit me. It's like, is this how I'm going to be portrayed, as a villain, as in having scars is a bad thing, or I'm a bad person? So everything I did measured it next to being a bad thing. And then obviously coming from a cultural community like South Asian, it's anything you do is always bad. So we never recognized for things we're doing good, and fear incited, and all of these things were happening. So a new kind of ID was forming in that time.
Okay.
Prior to that, I mean, I was confident as confident could be, but I never had to think about my image or confidence. I was just being. But now I have no confidence. This is where my self-loathing journey started.
It's teenagehood as well. I mean, not only have you got this to go through, but it's teenage, life has started. And with that alone comes the loathing and, questioning. And then you've got this on top.
Yeah, so obviously
It's
adolescence is happening, obviously body's changing. Then on top, like, hearing the same sort of conversation, who's going to marry you, who's going to look at you, those things start coming. And I haven't even thought about that, but that now starts coming in.
Because from an Asian background.
From an Asian background.
Yeah.
And then have friends who are sort of dating, it starts at 13, 14, they're exploring themselves. I couldn't relate to that. So again, I felt more and more isolated.
Do you think that's something that you had in your own head, or was that put on you from the outside world that you can't even think about dating, you don't even bother?
Yeah.
Or was that something that was already in your head?
I think it's a bit of both. So mainly it was the externals, all like, who's going to marry you, who's going to look at you, poor you now, your life's going to be single. Like, so got that on one hand. Then on the other, because I don't feel beautiful, pretty like my friends, who is going to look at it? And no one did look at me. So it kind of proved the theory a little bit at the time.
Do you think if you had that from external sources that, oh, actually, don't worry, there's always going to be Mr. Right, you'll find the one just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Do you think if you had that, then you would have had more confidence?
I think that there would have been a difference in confidence for sure. Hindsight's great, right? It's beautiful. But I think I would have had a different level of confidence. I'd had other conflicts, I reckon.
Yeah.
But not this.
Okay.
And then going into college, of course, everyone's dating, and it's just a thing. I couldn't be part of that.
You couldn't, yeah.
I just couldn't resonate. They didn't see, my peers didn't see anything different with me.
Okay.
I felt different. They made me feel inclusive. But when they're dating and talking about that, I couldn't tap into that.
Yeah.
They're just talking a foreign language as far as I'm concerned. So again, the self-loathing is there, it's building up, but no one can see it from the outside.
Yeah, of course.
And my depression had started in that time. And the thing about depression, and it's really vital to talk about, is there's not a pivotal moment where you go, I'm depressed. It's a collection of little things, and you are far away from who you are as a person. You're far away from everything that is you, and you don't even recognize this person. I didn't recognize who I was. And my way of coping or suppressing was, initially it was alcohol and drugs.
Okay.
Didn't do anything for me. I was still left unanswered questions. I was still left with those. Then came overeating, because when you eat, it's a great way to disguise, because culturally, obviously, you know, we're around food, we're around hospitality, it's our thing. So I was able to overeat and hide behind that.
If people are already saying that there's no one's going to marry you, no one's going to find you attractive anyway, you know, you probably, what's the difference in overeating and letting go of everything? Because you know, what's the point of holding back? And that could be a thing in your thoughts as well,
Yeah.
where you've already.
But
people
I enjoyed food, don't get me wrong, but I never enjoyed a specific food. But I ate to just
Comfort.
suppress that pain. And I'd buy snacks and stuff and have them in my bedroom in secret. Of course, this is where the weight was piling on.
Yeah,
You don't notice it's piling on.
yeah.
And I didn't notice, but I was buying baggy clothes anyway.
Hmm.
And it's not until I reached the peak of my depression, and when I say that, it's where I really recognize I was different, is about 2000. So I was about 20, 21 at the time.
Okay.
I'm at a size 24 now. And on an average, I've been a 14. So 14, 16 would have been my average dress size. So I'm now 24. And it's hit me that I can't afford to keep buying bigger clothes. But I still couldn't recognize that the weight I was putting on was because of the depression.
Yeah.
I didn't link the two. It's a typical thing, okay, you're fat, you know, you're ugly. All of these things were sort of playing into
What other people were saying.
other people saying, and then I was taking on. And typical thing, you know, why don't you start losing weight? That's so easy to talk about. But who was actually asking me, why are you doing
Or how
this?
can I help you?
How can I help
Yeah.
you? And then a good friend of mine said, look, I'm really concerned about your health. Can I come with you to the doctors, or can I do something? And that's when I joined a gym. Now, joining a gym isn't the quick fix of everything, you know, that's not the point. But what it is I started to have some self-worth. Not great, but enough for me to get to the gym.
Yeah.
Things did start to change, you know, like it started to change where I could see I'm a good person. I could see I'm a little bit beautiful, not a great deal, but I could see a little glimpse. Anyway, in the midst of that, I joined university at that time as well.
Okay.
So things were changing. I started to get a bit more confident, and in
You
the
started
midst,
making steps.
started making
life.
steps
Yeah.
to changes, and able to leave my house confidently. And then started this degree. So it's about 4 years on from this moment. And it's great. Like I'm finally found something that I feel proud about, that I'm good at, and I'm intelligent. Because even whilst feeling like not good or pretty, it was, how can I call it? Like I think I just didn't feel good enough.
Yeah.
And now I'm
But with
doing a degree.
intelligence, at least it takes you out of that. It's nothing to do with your looks. It's nothing to do with
Yeah,
what people are telling you. You can actually break out of that.
absolutely.
So that was a good moment for you.
Yeah.
What did you study?
Applied health sciences.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really
So
good.
yeah, no, I did that, and then I specialized in Pilates. My body started changing, and this is what I wanted to give to people.
Yeah.
I wanted people to be inspired to take control of themselves
Yeah.
and reduce the external noise, as I call it, and start looking from within.
That's what I was saying to you the other day. It's more about what you tell yourself and trying to be who you really are, and not what other people are saying that you should be. I think that's the hardest thing, isn't it?
Completely. And it's
Yeah.
like now I take ownership of my version of beautiful.
Exactly.
It's not whether, if you say to me, Tulsi, you look beautiful, yes, I'll say thank you, but it doesn't mean anything because I don't live for it anymore. I know I am. And I think that's what this is about. So it's switching off the external noise and really switching on your internal voice to just verify who you
And
are.
I mean, as much as I'm a makeup artist, beauty isn't just, you know, you look good. It's when you're feeling amazing. It just radiates energy-wise. Like obviously, you're beautiful because your energy just radiates.
Yeah.
And it's not, oh, she's got makeup on or her hair's great or whatever. It's genuinely the energy that's radiating. I think that's your good ambassador of great energy, which is beautiful. I think that's what you're trying to portray, isn't it? If
Absolutely.
I understand right.
Yeah, absolutely. Own who you are.
Yeah.
You know, be proud of who you are, and that's what's going to radiate.
And then if you can tell our viewers on camera, I mean, this is a very short interview. We could go on forever later.
Yeah, of course.
But if you can tell our viewers, you know, when they are feeling down, what is something that helps you pull through when you know you need to be motivated, you want to be inspired? What is something that helps you that you think actually could help the viewers?
Yeah, so for me, I think, we all have down days. I have down days myself. I think what gets me out of bed is one is gratitude, just grateful for everything that I have. In the grand scheme, it seems like I don't have everything and, we're always looking for more. But really look at what you actually have. Really look at your own good qualities and really celebrate those. And just know this is a moment in life. It's not a forever thing. It's a very moment thing. And remember why you get out of bed, or remember why you're here, or why you started. And obviously, we do go off track. Like if you're starting a fitness journey, we might have an injury, you come away from it, but just remember why you go back onto it. And it's okay to go back on track. So for me, it's knowing that I'm going to be okay, whatever okay looks like, and just knowing that it's never too late and you don't have to ever just give up. You just start again, and that's fine.
Thank you, Tulsi. And one more question in terms of love and finding love, or being in love, or meeting someone who loves you, whichever way you want to talk about love. Um, Again, what's your take on love?
I love love. Love is all we are. When our first breath is love. However we're made, however we're conceived, the first breath we take is love, and it's to remember to come back to that. It's kindness for self, compassion for self, and love for self is so vital.
Yeah,
Self-love is so cliche,
yeah.
but it's literally that.
Well, you can't give from an empty bucket.
You cannot. If you think of a cup of tea, you cannot serve
You
from an
can't,
empty cup.
yeah.
You just cannot. So fill that cup, fill it with goodness, be kind. We're so used to the negative narrative. Let's change it, flip the script, and literally start giving that love to ourselves. That is what's going to rate it. You asked me, how can somebody help themselves, or what can they do? This radiance didn't just come about.
No.
It's because the more kindness I'm giving to myself, the light is getting brighter. So it's like the lighthouse. You can't have a dim lighthouse. It's got to be bright so that the ships can come to you. And that's what this is about.
Thank you so much, Tulsi. Again, if you could tell people how they can find you on Instagram or whichever channels.
Sure, it's Tulsi Divine 108. So that's TULSI DIVINE 108.
We'll have that scrolling. So please do get in touch with us if you've got further questions. Okay, on camera, sorry. If you've got further questions for Tulsi, I mean, this was a very short interview. Please get in touch with us. You can find me on Halimah Beauty on Instagram, and Tulsi, as she said, and carry on asking the questions, get inspired, be motivated, and love, love, love. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much,
Thank
Tulsi,
you.
for
Lots
being
of love.
here. Yay.